Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast, the world's leading authority on childcare marketing, mindset, expansion, and profitability. Each episode will feature interviews with the brightest minds in the childcare industry to guide you into becoming a smarter business leader. Our hosts have opened 10 schools while raising 5 children. They are certified business coaches and are the top-selling childcare business book authors of all time. This episode is sponsored by Childcare Genius Marketing. Let Childcare Genius Marketing help you get fully enrolled and fully staffed. Visit childcaregenius.com for more details. Let's welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast our hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast.
We're your hosts, Brian and Carol Dupre.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Taking time out of your busy life. We've got a great episode planned for you today with a great special guest. But before we get started, we wanted to remind you that tickets will soon be on sale for our Childcare Genius Live Conference in Las Vegas, April 14th, 15th, and 16th. You want to get on the wait list now because those on the wait list are going to get a special ticket offer, say $200 off per ticket. So go to childcaregenius.com. Under the conference tab, select Childcare Genius Live and get on our wait list so you can come to our conference in Las Vegas at the Golden Nugget, April 14th, 15th, and 16th, the world's most advanced childcare conference. So thank you for letting us do that little bit of commercial. And we're so excited today to have a special guest who's a great friend of ours. Carol and I love this person very much, and her husband awesome. And her name is Joy Maxwell, and she is a professor, and she is amazing. She's on our team. She teaches at Childcare Genius University, and she's a childcare business owner, multi-center owner. And you're going to really love hearing. We're going to talk a little bit about leadership and some of the struggles that owners are going through right now, and some tips and tools to help you along the way. And she has some really good insights. So I think you're going to like, I think you'll like this interview.
Let's get Joy on the line. Hi, Joy. Welcome to the Childcare Genius Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Great.
Hi, Joy. Good to see you again. Always a joy to have you on our podcast.
Hi.
Well, where are you calling from today? Are you in sunny South Florida, Central Florida?
Today I'm in sunny Florida. Yeah, it's our hurricane season, but it's still sunny.
But it's good. When things aren't being blown sideways, then it's always a good thing, right?
Yes, yes.
Well, good. We decided to have you on the podcast. We're having a couple of our coaches and professors on over the next couple weeks, and we thought we'd have you on today, and we're so excited to have you on. But for those of our audience, and we've got a very big following, but not everybody might know who Joy Maxwell is. So can you tell us more about your background and what your life was like maybe before you started the childcare business, and maybe how you got into it?
Awesome. So I am Joy Maxwell, originally from Philadelphia. I was a burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed out classroom teacher that decided to try it on her own. I left the classroom in 2013. At that time, I was making about $40,000 a year. And I was overwhelmed, I was stressed out. I knew that I had the desire to teach and educate children, but the capacity that I was serving as a social studies and science teacher at that time, it wasn't giving me the fulfillment that I needed. And so I left the classroom, stepped out on faith, opened a home program. From there, a group program, from there, a center, another center, and then another center, and the rest is history. Here I am today.
Wow, that's awesome. So do you like this better than teaching?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The sky's the limit.
Most days, right?
Most days.
You're on the faculty of the Childcare Genius University as one of our leadership coaches. What do you like best about teaching in Childcare Genius University rather than like high school?
Well, I think the capacity of who I teach may have changed, but the fact that I still get to teach is still my joy. It's the joy of my heart. when I see people with that aha moment, when I see a person's face and I know they got it, they got it. The concept, the technique, I can tell that they got it, they received it, and they're able to do something different with their life and in their business. That's extremely rewarding to me.
Yeah, I know that feeling, that light bulb moment when you see somebody click in and they get it, they understand it, they have a capacity to make it happen. Yeah, it's always a good feeling as a coach or a teacher. And sometimes the answer is always within, right, Joy? It's trying to get it out of them. And when you see them have that moment, yeah, there's nothing better than that. Uh, since we got out of COVID, there's so many challenges with business owners today. What are some of the challenges you're seeing with some of the people that you talk to, or maybe in your social circles? What are you seeing out there?
Um, I think one of the biggest issues that I see across the board is communication still. And I don't know if COVID strengthened that or weakened that. If a person truly has something to get off their chest or get out, and the people who are there, they're trying to give it to is not receiving it well, then everything is lost in communication. Nothing I'm trying to tell you will you grasp the concept of if you aren't properly hearing me communicate it well. And what that leads to oftentimes is frustration, right, amongst your leadership and amongst your team, because your team feels like, I don't know what's going on. They're not telling me what I need to do, and then the leadership team feels like I'm telling them what they need to do, and they're not listening. So I think communication. Sometimes we just have to get to the bottom of things, have more, conversations. I know we say, okay, we can talk face to face, but then we wind up on a place like this, like Zoom. So I think there's finding ways to strengthen that communication and keeping the lines of communication open and holding everybody accountable. This is what I'm expecting to be done, and I want to hold you accountable, and I want to be held accountable as well. That as your leader, I'm going to follow up with you. I'm going to help you. I'm going to make sure that this gets done. So I think that's the communication is usually at the root of a lot of other issues.
I now that you said that, you're 100% spot on. And if I look back at a lot of the problems our clients are facing, you're right. And a lot of times it's just either a miscommunication or a lack of clear communication or just a total miscommunication. And sometimes I know I've been guilty of this many times, is sometimes I say things but it doesn't come out it doesn't land the way I say it to the other person. Like I didn't ask them how they heard it. I just assumed they heard it the way I said it in my mind. And assumptions are the mother of all screw-ups that I've noticed in business and in the military. And sometimes assuming somebody hears it the way you say it is not always a good thing as well. So sometimes it's better to have them repeat it back to you is a good thing. Like, can you repeat that back to me so you make sure they heard it the way you intended to say it as well. So I think you know what I'm talking about there.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think also, even with most of our enrollments, if a policy is not clearly communicated to a family when they first enroll, the biggest mishaps, the biggest fallouts can be because somebody mixed a step with the enrollment, the onboarding, right? Did we onboard our staff properly? Did we onboard our families properly? Did they understand all of our policies? Because now it's a concern, it's an issue, and it could have been avoided if some of those initial communication tactics were taking place. So it's across the board, but I think once we keep strengthening that and keep working on it, we get better.
For sure.
So let's talk about leadership. What is the biggest struggle that directors are dealing with today, and how do we help?
And this one is like, I talk to owners, I talk to directors. This one, I think this also could tie into communication, but I feel like sometimes the directors feel like they're not being heard, valued, or supported enough. And so, if I have an expectation of a certain report to be done by 10 a.m., no excuses, but then you walk into two parents, fighting in the parking lot over a parking space, a kid with a fever, a staff that called out. By the time you get to the office, you've already put out 4 small fires. And the report that I'm somewhere demanding you to have done, is the last thing on your mind because you just got to your desk. You've been in the building since 8 a.m., but it's now 9:20 and you're just getting to your desk. And I needed the report by 10 a.m. So it's, did you properly do your time management? Did you start this report on Friday? I told you I needed it Monday by 10 a.m., but I told you that a week ago. So it's like, we have these struggles where directors, they're overwhelmed too. They don't always have to carry the financial burden of the business or some of the decision making, but to carry that weight of the day to day and the ins and outs and the ups and downs. And sometimes, owners or other part of your administration team are not always privy to some of the things that go on inside the center or at specific times. So I think that piece of just, continuing to check in, make sure that our directors are valued, they know that they're valued, and they know that they're supported in this process.
Joe, I think owners that have been directors understand that scenario you talked about a whole lot better. But I coach a lot of owners that have never been directors. And I remember Carol saying things like, in Brian's world, things are a lot different than in the real world, because I've never been a director. And she had to educate me what that scenario just said. So if you're an owner and you've never been a director, that scenario Joy just played out with that fires is so prevalent. And directors have notoriously bad at time management. They'll always wait to the last minute normally because it's crisis to crisis to crisis. And your report is one of those crises that needs to get done, and it usually gets done last minute. But if licensing walks in an hour before that report is not happening. So we do teach a lot on time management. And if they can get that under control, I think that alleviates that with that communication. But I think there's empathy too, that the director needs to kind of walk in an owner needs to walk in a director's shoes, at least knowing how hard that job is. I don't think there's a harder job out there than being a director. And I think sometimes as owners that have never been directors, we take that position for granted that, oh, anybody could do. No, it's a tough job. And I value it. I've seen how hard they work. Not to say that they can't get that report done on time, but there are extraneous, and there's a lot of gray. I would say there's a lot of gray when it comes to it's not always black and white. There is some gray area when it comes to deadlines and things like that when they deal with directors.
Oh yeah, and no 2 days are ever the same in childcare.
Very true.
You're right. John Maxwell says, putting two good days together when you're a leader sometimes is very challenging. And it's the same thing as a director world. There's you're never going to get 2 days in a row that have run problem free ever.
Yeah.
You're always going to have issues. And I think as owners, we need to be a little more sympathetic to the plight of how hard a director's job is. All right, so shifting gears here, we do 2 live conferences a year. So we do a fall conference in the Caribbean, getting ready to go to Jamaica in the end of next month, and also we do a spring conference in Las Vegas. So what do you like best about the conferences that we host and you speak at?
Oh my goodness. I think the ability and the capacity to have a time to learn, a time to network, and a time to execute. When we were in Jamaica, we had times where we did the meet and greets, we networked, we talked. There were breaks that we had talks, but then there was a time where the conference was ended in the middle of the day. So we still have a lot of energy. We still have a lot of, run, like, okay, let's go. And then for us to sit by the pool and actually be able to talk through things with our members was really instrumental, because that was the time that we got to execute. This was the time where, people were able to pick our brain, ask questions, trade resources. And we're telling people, okay, well, with that, I think you could try this. Well, what do you think about that? And then they were able to ask other members, well, what would you think if you were a parent? Or what would you think if you were a client and you were trying that? And so it really came away with, even though we were in the pool and we were having our little version cocktails and things like that, and we were in bathing suits, it was still a moment where some people were like, you know what, let me get a pen, because I need to write that down. I can, and at one moment, I remember one of our clients was like, I went back to the room and I called this person and I did this, and then I sent the email and I'm waiting for a reply. It was like we had so much brain capacity, because sometimes we go to these conferences and you're on overload. By the time you get back to your city, your state, you don't even know what the first thing you should implement. You don't know what's the first thing you should do. But coming to a conference like this, where we're only going half day, the rest of the day, you don't have that brain fog. You really still have brain capacity to do something else the rest of the day. And so to be able to sit by the pool, sit with, people who are in different expertise and just learn and navigate and then be able to execute, I think that was a game changer. I really do.
Yeah, I agree. And each day is themed, so you're only learning about a certain topic. Again, that helps your brain to process the information as well. You're not learning different topics on the same day, so it's harder for your brain to process it. So you're keeping the whole day on marketing or the whole day on mindset or the whole day on systems. So, but at the end of the day, all you've learned about, and you think about it and you sleep on it at night, and the next day you start a new topic, and it keeps that as well. So yeah, we love that fall conference for that as well. So, well, thanks for those great comments.
You're welcome.
What's the difference between a leader and a boss?
Ooh, I've had this conversation quite a few times. I remember that I used to, when I first started, I would hear my team members or my workers say, well, my boss, I have to ask my boss, I have to ask my boss. And it became cringe, like, ooh, I don't really like that word. Because to me, a boss just came with such a derogatory tone. It just came with so much like, do what I say, when I say it, how I say it, or else. Where a leader leaves opportunity for the team to also become leaders. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to build more leaders. I'm not trying to build, people that feel like they need to take over and demand things. No, you're a leader. And so as a leader, I want you to be a thinker. I want you to be a problem solver. I want you to pick up on some skills, right? Some skill set, and learn how to implement and how to lead a team. And as a boss, I just feel like it just comes with this thought process of, it's more demanding, it's more controlling, it's more like this iron fist, where a leader is more circulatory, is more revolving, is more growing, is more developing, is more open. And so I always have called myself a leader and not a boss. I don't want to be anyone's boss. I want to be your leader, and I want to help you become a leader too.
I love that. Yeah, but it's one of the areas that people struggle with a lot, leadership, when they first start. And they don't know. And sometimes directors become bossy because they don't know what leadership is. So as owners, we need to teach our people, give them leadership skills and leadership training. We teach that in our university. We teach how to lead, but it doesn't come naturally. So give some grace to your directors if they're new in this capacity, leading other people. Give them time to learn and grow, and allow them to make mistakes too, because that's how you learn. They're not going to be mistake free. They're gonna have upset some staff members. They're gonna learn how to what say, what not to say. They'll figure it out. You just got to give them a little time and a little room to grow. For the most part, they'll figure it out. Shifting gears here. So you and I have very similar faith values, and you talk about your faith very openly on Facebook, as do I. Why is your faith so important to you?
My faith is important because it's my foundation. That's who I am. There's a scripture that I recite often, and it says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and everything else will be added unto you. So that lets me know that my foundation, my beginning, my start has to be faith. It has to be in God. And from there, I'll be strengthened, I'll be equipped, I'll be empowered to do everything else, to have everything else, to complete everything else. And so I think sometimes often we tire ourselves out because we work and we serve in our own capacity, our own strength. And in this life, you need a stronger strength. You need a stronger source, and it's not you. It's a higher source. And so for me, that is God. That is my foundation. That is my faith. I stand on that. My business is rooted in that. If God is not in my business plan, I'm gonna need a prayer at some point, because even throughout the day, it could be a turmoil. I'm like, Lord, please help me. And those prayers carry you through. They give you the strength to kind of just like, okay, I got this, I got this. And I remember talking to a client the other day, and of course, I'm not pushing anything on anybody. However, I freely invite or have conversations with people. And I was talking to one of our clients, and I said, sometimes you need something to hear stronger than your daily conversations. You need something stronger to carry you, whether it's motivational, inspirational, whether it's faith filled, whatever it is, you need something. And sometimes for me, I put my phone on do not disturb. I put on somebody like Les Brown, Miles Monroe, my uncle John Maxwell, and I listen to those people because not only are they helping me build in faith, they're helping me build in character, they're helping me build in mindset, they're helping me build in value. And so I take that time and I self-develop. While I'm driving, I self-develop. While I'm working out, I self-develop. While I'm in the shower, I have Alexa on, we're self-developing. Why? Because I want to continuously hear something that's going to help transform me into who the person I desire to be is. And so you don't get that by listening to every, reality TV show or trash radio. You don't get that. You don't character build in that capacity. Not for where we're trying to go as building little leaders, right? We're building little educators. We're building children that are going to serve the world in some great capacity. So to be filled up in that capacity, you need something a little bit stronger than Jerry Springer.
I would say amen to that. That's for sure. And very good. And thank you for sharing that. That is very important. And we don't hide from our faith, whatever, no matter what your faith is. We're not preaching one faith over another. I coach planes of all faiths. But you need some kind of something to hold you through. I tell you, getting through COVID was hard, would have been hard by myself.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad I had some help there and a lot of prayer during COVID. I tell you that.
Yeah.
How do you juggle between being a business owner, coach, a wife, and a mom? Besides praying for school to start.
Yeah, it's like today being the first day of school for a senior and 2 third graders. I'm like, woo, I'm almost done with one and still going with 2 other ones. I think I juggle it all by I'm not going to say organizing it. I'm just going to say that I balance it. I find a way to balance it. I have a time for this, a time for that, a time for the kids, a time for myself. I block out time for coaching. I block out time for, me time and me and my husband time. And I stick to it. If I have a standing appointment, I stick to it. I don't cancel it. Even if it's a standing appointment with myself, I stick to it. I just do. I remember it was at one point, and this was probably right after COVID, almost like once every other week, I would just go to the movie theater. And people would call me and I would say, hey, I can't talk right now. I'm in a meeting. And one time my girlfriend called me and she could hear the noise in the background. I said, I can't talk. I'm in a meeting. I'll call you when I get out. And I didn't go to the movies to actually watch the movie and enjoy it. I went to the movies because it was like dead space. It was a time where nobody, Miss Joy, can I call as a mom on the phone, as a dad at the door? Nobody bothered me. And oftentimes I sat there on my phone and got something done that I wanted to do, even if it was to play a video game. I knew for that hour and a half, it was dead space. I didn't have to think, right? I didn't have a lot of brain capacity moving. Nobody bothered me. I got to eat my popcorn, drink my little juice, and I was at peace. But I did that every other week to take myself to the movies. And people thought it was the funniest thing, but it was the most peaceful time for me.
I totally get that. Sometimes just quiet time is a good thing. Yesterday, I hopped on my motorcycle for an hour of driving just for that little me time. There was no radio. I don't have a radio on it. It was just nice to just have some me time, Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad, but yesterday was good. It was just good to let the wind go in my hair and just feel free, I know that feeling.
Yeah, you need it. That's self-care.
Self-care, self-discipline, self-development. A lot of times you and I have talked about this before. Sometimes we take care of ourselves last. We're serving our team, we're serving our spouse, we're serving our kids, we're serving our neighbors and church and everything else. And sometimes we look at us and serve us last. And we wonder why there's nothing left for our spouse sometimes, because we're helping everybody else. And at the end of the day, there's just nothing left. And give, and we got to really make it a priority to pour into ourselves. And at Childcare Genius University, we know we coach to the whole person, so we help that whole person get healed and get developed, and we work on self-development. We help you build yourself up and kind of put yourself first mentality, and look in the mirror and actually start liking yourself, and find joy in your work again, and make childcare fun again. Childcare ownership should be a fun thing to do. But I think we've lost some of that joy and fun, and we're going to help to bring some of that back in the next year. That's our motto for 25, bringing the fun back into childcare ownership.
I love it. I love it. I was given a plaque a few years back that said, "Find joy in every journey." And that's what you got to do.
And when your name is Joy, it's hard to not look in the mirror and see joy every day of your life, right, Joy?
Yeah, kind of hard not to be happy with a name like Joy.
Amen to that. Well, I want to thank you, Joy. I mean, you've been a joy, and that is no pun intended. You've been such a blessing to Carol and I. You and your husband, Ray, are just great friends, good. We're good partners in business and helping people, making a difference in the world together. In faith and business and in leadership coaching and everything we do. And we sure have a fun time when we go to Jamaica together. I tell you that. Even riding a bull. We all rode a bull together, mechanical bull. Me, Joy, and her husband, Ray. And we got some stories, but we're not telling them here today. But we've had some really good time, and we have a lot of fun. And once again, thank you for taking your time out of your busy day to share some great nuggets and be a blessing to our listeners. And have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You guys too. Bye-bye.
That was a great interview.
I like Joy.
I do too.
She's a sweetheart. We had so much fun when us four, her and her husband, Raymond, and Carol and I went to Jamaica together, spent a week together, just us four hanging out for a week. And we had fun. We rode a mechanical bull. We did a lot of time by the pool, by the beach. We just hung out. Just really good friends. I had a really good time.
Very nice.
So, yeah, very, very, very cool. So if we can help you in your childcare business, we'd love to. If you're a childcare owner and you own a center, at least one, and you've never done a call with me or haven't done a call with me in a year, and you'd like a free coaching call, just go to my website, childcaregenius.com, and under the coaching tabs, like the free coaching call, you get on my calendar, and we could talk a little bit about whatever you're struggling with. It could be anything from finances to leadership to systems to working together as husband and wife. Carol and I help people with that too. So if we could help you in any way, feel free to reach out and we could talk. We'd also talk about marketing. So whatever we could do to help you out, please let us know. And if you need to email us, you can at info@childcaregenius.com. So this concludes this episode of the Childcare Genius podcast. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy life, again, to spend a little bit of time with us. We really appreciate it.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss a future episode of the Childcare Genius podcast. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Childcare Genius podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please do us a favor and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a future episode. Don't forget to visit our website at childcaregenius.com to see a list of services we offer to help grow your childcare business. Until next time, thank you for being a part of the Childcare Genius community.